Just kind of looked like an atomic, like a bomb had gone off. Everything I ever knew, everything that I've ever called home was gone and completely lost.
I try not to think so much of the bad we saw that day. You know, it's incomprehensible.
It's still tough to grieve your friends, family, loved ones, and then grieve the memories. We're still grieving.
Oh my God! Somebody's down right here. Somebody's down.
This is our first look right now over Lahaina, and you can see there is absolutely nothing.
The embers have barely cooled in Lahaina, a historic beach town on the Hawaiian island of Maui, as if time has stood still.
Good evening. Tonight we are on the ground for the first time live in Lahaina.
My heart is just broken.
It's devastating. Complete and utter failure.
Where are you guys to try and get us out, evacuate us? No, we're mad.
So many questions are still unanswered more than 4 months later. The fire ravaged more than 2,000 buildings, most of them homes, killing at least 100 people. It's the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century.
Sleep doesn't come easy anymore, you know? It's just, the PTSD is real, and it's gonna be tough for a while, but we have no choice. We gotta make it. We gotta do it for the people that didn't. Start thinking about how we could change for the next time and make sure it doesn't happen again.
I think of that day, and it was like all the elements that came into play that led to the chain of events that led to our entire town burning down, seriously, all fell into place perfectly.
There's still no official timeline or account of the fire that destroyed Lahaina on August 8th, and aid and relief are beginning to dry up. In a town of nearly 13,000 residents, 12,000 were displaced by the fire. Most are still living in temporary housing, struggling to rebuild their lives, years away from calling Lahaina home again.
This is an old picture of Lahaina town. This is Lahaina right here.
These are some of the firefighters who desperately fought that inferno, sharing new details of that day. A battle they wouldn't win.
These high winds mixed with the dry summertime heat has led to a red flag warning for leeward parts of the state. This means that
we knew that the hurricane was passing south of us in tandem with the red flag warnings, and so we all kind of got an early start.
At around 6:40 a.m., resident Shane True says he hears a power line snapping.
You see the sparking and you see flames.
See the sparking, flames start almost immediately after from the dry grass.
Oh, this is live right across the street from my house. Freaking power line just went down.
In the area where the morning fire was reported, True records one of the first videos of the fire after a wooden power pole had snapped under high winds and ignited flames.
When I got to work, heard there was a fire at Lahaina Luna, but they had it contained, and we were just going to go for mop-up.
Before 9 a.m., Maui County declares the 3-acre brush fire 100% contained.
When it's contained, it means it's not actively spreading.
However, it's impossible to try and get every smoldering piece or every ember that's under the rocks in this ravine. That's where the fire was located. So that's why they stayed there for extended hours and just kind of dumping copious amounts of water.
We were there for hours and the wind was like nuking, and we're sitting on this fire that is out.
By 2:18 p.m., Ina Kohler and the other firefighters leave the scene of the morning fire.
So we left around 2 to go eat and take a break at the station, and there was a ton of cars on the roads, a lot of detours because lines were already down, poles were already down.
Then, at 2:54 p.m., the alarms ring. A report of a brush fire in the same area they had just been in.
We were like, oh my God, seriously? We just left. Like, how could that possibly be?
I called in sick to work the day before the fire. And then I get a couple calls coming in to my fiance. And what really triggered me was when she's talking to a colleague and she's like, my neighbor's roof is on fire. That's when it hit me, like, I have to go in.
We were able to get in front of it, but that's when a big gust came. Then I see it start running westerly. Once I saw that sense of helplessness kicked in.
So adrenaline kind of kicks in and I see smoke, I see flames, and then I see the crew I'm going to meet up with, and the look on their face is something I won't forget.
By 4:27 p.m., the fire has traveled about a mile to resident Diego Rivera's house.
What the fuck?
He doesn't have cell service or power.
Hurry the fuck.
At 4:44, Rivera makes a harrowing attempt to flee to safety.
Yo, what the fuck?
This video captures the sheer terror that those escaping the Inferno were facing.
Somebody's down right here. Somebody's down right here.
Yeah, somebody's down. Just go, Dad. We cannot do nothing for her. Oh my God.
Oh my God, bro.
Just go, Dad. Just go. Oh, we cannot do nothing for her.
Rivera declined to talk to us on camera. The memory's still too traumatic.
Wow, look at all that soot. That's nuts, dude.
Around the same time, Noah Tompkinson and his family tried to escape the fire. His mom driving towards Front Street, the main drag along the water.
I don't know why it's a standstill. I don't understand.
Around 5:20, realizing they're trapped, they jump into the ocean.
You're gonna be okay, Milo. Both sides, to the left and the right, are on fire. Fucking scary.
A little after 6 p.m., Maui Mayor Richard Bisson appears live on television, seemingly unaware about the extent of the fire.
I'm happy to report that the road is open to and from Lahaina, Hokiokio Road.
The mayor appears unaware here at 6:03 p.m. that Front Street has already been burning.
On the north end of Front Street, Hawaii native Charles Nahale is also unaware that a fire is raging.
I didn't realize there was an inferno happening down the road. We're thinking all along we're going to be okay.
Everybody needs to evacuate!
Police were evacuating residents.
Evacuate!
But an apparent breakdown in official communication left many with no warning and almost no way out.
There was no guidance. We had to make the decision on our own when it was time to go.
Back in the ocean, Noah and his little brother Milo are with their mother, who has been struggling to keep her head above water. Days after the fire, still in shock, Noah and Milo told me about their experience. What was that like, seeing your mom kind of like in that position?
I think among all the stress of like looking out for her kids, she started to have a hard time. She was like, shaking cold from the, anxiety. And there was one point where we kind of like all huddled around her and just wanted to like keep her warm.
Meanwhile, for hours, Kohler and her crew had been trying to save various homes. Here she is taking over for police at the shed.
I saw this stuff on the side.
The fire turned heroes into victims.
Oh, they're shooting it. Oh, this is your house? Yeah. Oh, fuck.
At around 8, firefighter Ina Kohler heads to her neighborhood and tries to retrieve water from the fire hydrants. But those fire hydrants are dry.
It's like going to a gunfight with no bullets, but you got your gun. And we're like, oh, good luck, hope you know.
And then we finally get above the bypass, looking down on Lahaina.
It cut us off, and it was too dangerous to see because lines were down and trees had fallen.
We're up top, and like, this is it. This is it. It can't get worse than this. And then I swear, not even 20 minutes later, I go up over the hill and look down at Waikuli, and I'm like, how did it jump and just eat everything in its path? That sense of helplessness. Nothing can prepare you for, nothing could have prepared us for that moment.
Around midnight, after an extraordinary 16 hours battling the flames, the moment Ina Kohler had been fearing all day.
There was fire above it, fire around it, and then finally one time we went through and you could see that it was like my house that was on fire. But you can't like stop and think about that. You just got to keep going. So.
We're almost rescued. There's a fire truck here.
Finally, at around 2 a.m., firefighters rescued the Tompkinsons.
I was just trying to survive. I was just in survival mode. That's it.
If any of us were alone, I don't know if we would have made it.
We worked until maybe about 10 a.m. the next morning. Driving back to the station was tough, and it was just ash. This is the place I grew up. How do I not know what street this is?
Even at 400 feet in the air, you can still smell the smoke days later, and you look down and you can't make out what you're seeing.
It was a David and Goliath situation, and we were battling an Inferno that we could not put out.
The fire department, we always win. We didn't win this time. We still have staff here.
What happened that day is now the subject of dozens of lawsuits. Many blame the utility company, Hawaiian Electric, for allegedly causing the fire with its power lines. The county of Maui is also suing Hawaiian Electric for negligence, a lawsuit the utility says is factually and legally irresponsible. There have been persistent and frequent public warnings about Maui's fire risk.
And on Maui, heavy winds fueling a string of brush fires.
After devastating wildfires in 2018, residents raised concerns about power line risks, highly flammable, overgrown grasses, and communication failures. But not enough changed. The island avoided catastrophe then, but this time, the wind was just too strong.
This was my old church, my old house. This is the coffee shop. Oh, there's my sign.
As Kohler takes us to what remains of her home and the coffee shop she once owned, she can't help but think about what lies ahead.
It's hard to stay positive and move forward. This was the search school. How are we going to continuously pay our mortgage and rent once insurance is out? We're going to need a lot of help. Right now, it's just like things are kind of becoming routine, and the home we're in, we're only in for another month and a half, so that's been our home, but it's definitely, it'll be a while, I think, before we can kind of call it somewhere home, you know.
And she wants accountability, now suing Hawaiian Electric for negligence.
I'm tired of going on fires that the power lines cause. To me, it's just negligent. How do you hold a monopoly accountable? Everyone's just going to pass the buck, pass the blame to somebody else.
Hawaiian Electric has said that the morning fire appears to have been caused by power lines that fell in high winds. But the utility points out that the firefighters declared the fire contained and left the scene, only to have a second fire begin in the same area.
I'm like, what, are we your personal firefighters? Because that's what they're asking us to do, is only serve them and protect their mistakes that they caused. Your guys started this fire, we put it out, now you want us to sit on it all day, even though it's out, and you're gonna blame us?
The crew that day did an amazing job, and they did contain it to that area. The winds that day was about 80 miles an hour. There's no way to prevent the wind doing what it does.
In a statement to NBC News, Hawaiian Electric said that they are thankful for the courageous work of the firefighters who responded and extinguished the morning fire, and that the cause of the afternoon fire remains undetermined. Was Hawaiian Electric as proactive as they should have been?
No, I strongly believe that Hawaiian Electric should have done a power shutoff program. That would have been appropriate given the winds being over 70 miles an hour. There was red flag warnings.
Until October of 2022, Jennifer Potter ran the regulatory body that oversees Hawaiian Electric. Did Hawaiian Electric know that their system was vulnerable during these high winds?
If they try and state that they didn't, that would be sort of an insult. Some of those poles are over 40, 50 years old, and a lot of them are compromised.
Potter says Hawaiian Electric should have prevented disaster by proactively turning the power off before the windstorm. Not only did the utility not do that, instead it turned the power back on around 6 a.m. after high winds had tripped off the electricity.
I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think that was a good call.
Are you angry at Hawaiian Electric?
Yeah, I think they should have. I really do think they should have turned off the power. I think that they had enough information to do the right thing.
The utility says there was no electricity in West Maui after approximately 6:39 a.m., around the time the morning fire started. You ran the commission. Your job was to oversee the utility. Do you feel like you're to blame as well for this?
I think that there is some responsibility at the commission for not requiring a wildfire mitigation plan. I think that given what we saw in 2018, we should have been very proactive. That was a missed opportunity. The utility is responsible for their own liabilities.
Hawaiian Electric said that Ms. Potter's comments reflect a perspective that is influenced by the tragic events of August 8th, and that while she served on the commission, she did not raise concerns about the utility's procedures for responding to red flag wind warnings and did not mention the idea of proactively turning off the power. Another decision under scrutiny: officials never activated emergency warning sirens.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not.
A decision Maui's emergency management chief defended, saying the sirens are primarily for tsunamis and that there were concerns people would evacuate towards the fire. The next day, citing health reasons, he resigned. Hawaii's Attorney General is investigating the fires and the government's response. The AG has issued subpoenas to 3 Maui agencies, suggesting they have slowed down the investigation by failing to provide critical facts. Meanwhile, survivors are stuck in limbo, still with no real answers. searching for a way forward.
It's really difficult to begin the process of healing and working through trauma.
Wedding minister and musician Charles Nahale has been bouncing between different temporary Red Cross shelters since the fire.
It's sort of like the Hunger Games. You know, the housing market in Hawaii was scarce before the fire. Now, with displaced people in shelters, whether that be timeshares or condos or the hotels, it's nearly impossible to find places to rent long-term. My work deals with visitors here, but we are hurting too deeply. We need time to be able to be coexisting with people in their bathing suits and drinking and having a grand old time. There are other parts of the island of Maui that is business as usual. We're nowhere near ready for that.
I want to take the lesson that this has taught us, and maybe it'll help other places that might be like ours. We can sit around and blame each other all we want and blame this place and blame that place and think about what we could have done to prevent it, but we didn't.
We have to have hope that we can build back stronger, better, to have that glimmer, to really push forward, holomoa, as we say in Hawaii, to push forward to greater things.
We can't not have a Lahaina. Like, that's our home. So we will rebuild, there will be a Lahaina, and we're gonna be here for it. And I think that's that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.